Okay, we're live.
Amazing. Hello, everybody. I'm very excited about this meetup. My name is Olivia. I'm a community advocate for Chainlink. And today we'll be talking about NFTs with Joaquim. And I will quickly say a couple of words in German, since this meetup is especially for the German-based Chainlink community. And then the rest of the meetup will take place in English. But if you later have questions in German, you can also ask them in German. So, liebe Community, ich freue mich sehr, dass ihr alle dabei seid heute. Das ist ein besonderes Event, weil es mein erstes Event ist, das ich veranstalten kann als Chainlink Community Advocate. Und ich freue mich sehr auf unseren heutigen Guest Speaker, Joaquim, der uns viel interessante Dinge und die neuesten Ereignisse im NFT-Bereich erklären wird. Ihr werdet auch die Möglichkeit haben, Fragen zu stellen, nachdem Joaquim präsentiert hat. Und stellt eure Fragen im Chat. Wir werden die sammeln und hinterher beantworten. Ich freue mich sehr nochmals und ich wünsche euch allen ganz viel Spaß. Now I would like to switch back to English and pass it on to Joaquim for a short introduction about himself, and then we can also dive into our content for today. So everybody enjoy.
Vielen Dank, Olivia. Es freut mich, bin sehr hier. Das ist die German Desk. Dann ich spreche auf Englisch, aber ich bitte alle Kommentare auf Deutsch. Wir können auch sehr andere antworten auch. Thank you very much for your time. It's a pleasure to be back, being with Olivia this time. Here we're going to talk about NFTs and the Metaverse, the latest hot world that we are now in the ecosystem. We're going to try to explain about it. Feel free to ask as many questions you need. Olivia and me, we're going to talk about it. We're going to share our comments, our thoughts about it. And I'm a banking and finance lawyer, also related with blockchain technology. We've been assessing several projects. So I think now we are jumping into a new era. We start with the ICOs, then we move to the STOs, then jumps to the DeFi protocols. And now this year it's NFT mania. Everyone's talking about NFT, and every single football player needs to have their own NFT. So we are here. There's a really interesting topic. There are really several issues. So we're gonna find out. First, before I start, I would like to pass once again to Olivia, because if there's anyone that has any question, if Olivia, if you want to ask any question before the presentation, feel free to do
it. Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm very excited to hear more from you. For now, I'd be really interested to learn just a little bit from a high-level perspective. Maybe can you explain to us again, what is an NFT and how does it work?
Yeah, why not? An NFT, it's a non-fungible token. We've been not talking about fungible or not fungible in the past, because all of them were fungible. Cryptocurrencies can trade one Bitcoin to another Bitcoin and nothing happens, because it has the same value, the same characteristic, has no differently. Now we're talking about an NFT because it's something unique, that it has its own properties. I'm gonna think about something that everyone could understand. On one hand, we have a Picasso, a lovely picture that has been painted a long time ago. And on the other hand, we got a Van Gogh. We don't know why it could have the same value on the art market, but we cannot trade between them, because it normally has the same value, it has different characteristics. So one of the main characteristics is that it's unique. Another characteristic, we cannot spare it. We cannot make a small part of that. We can make a small part from a Bitcoin or from Ether, but not with an NFT. An NFT is a whole, as the owner, just you can buy just one NFT, not part of these NFTs. So we are also representing assets that are not just on-chain. That also could be off-chain. There could be assets and in the real world that we can trade also because it has already been tokenized. Most of the projects that people are interested, instead of what we've been thinking about the CryptoPunks or paintings or I don't know, skins for Fortnite, most people are really interested about real estate, say that once we can tokenize a whole building, a whole house, or at least the land that you can trade on blockchain. It will be 100% legal. People will start using this way and will be more liquidity on the market. That will be a jump forward that people are awaiting for that. So this is the main explanation about the NFT. I will gonna show you during the whole presentation about the difference about that, how it has been going. If you think that Olivia, it's a good time to do it, I will start with the presentation and I'm gonna start answering, I think, most of the questions that the community has. But if you want to ask specific questions, feel free to interrupt me wherever you want to. The other people that are connected, please leave your comments below. And at the end of the session with Olivia, we're going to start answering one by one all your questions.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. I think that you can see it. Is that okay, Olivia? You can see the screen. Yeah, it's great. Okay, well, as Olivia has asked me, the non-fungible token, we have already answered the question. The other one is the metaverse. Nobody has been talking about metaverse. It's a strange word. Sometimes it reminds me about, Star Wars, Star Trek, or other word, because it's something that's long and metaverse. It sounds strange. Well, the metaverse is nothing else that what we already know, that's Second Life. It was created in 2003, that you got your own avatar and you can chat and you can jump in different worlds, buy things that you can play along. For people that has not been in Second Life, I would say, think about the video game called Sims, that you bought it and you create a house, then you just buy it, that you just having a. It's more or less the same, that you're representing yourself in a digital world, in a virtual world. So with this new technology, you can just not just play, but also you can trade goods. You can buy something specific, as we've been talking about for specific skins. And somehow what Mark Zuckerberg said, I think 1 month ago, that he knows that in the near future, we will stay at home, working from home. Our business meeting will take place in the metaverse. We're going to be on the same road with our avatar. We've been discussing that we will not be physically there, will be in a virtual reality. But whatever that happens there will have an effect in the real world. That's the main thing, that we're trying to combine both the things. We have seen it that in several sci-fi fiction movies or sometimes soap operas, but now it's happening. And with the NFT mania, luxury brands, gaming brands, electronic sports are investing a lot of money in terms of Epic Games, the owner of Fortnite, has received $1 billion of investment just to create their own metaverse, because all the brands knew that the new generation preferred to be playing than not moving and not going anywhere. So to start with, one of the most iconic NFTs is that one that has been bought for this amount, $69 million. That was every day. There was a crypto artist, people, was several pictures, put it all together. It has been created for the last 5,000 days. And it was, I think, around March, April that we got this first auction. That after that, all the traditional auction stores like Sotheby's or other that we already know, Christie's, that decided that jump into the NFT mania, and also the traditional one will be allowed to invest with Ethers or with Bitcoin. So the most traditional would say business that we have, this auction that we could say that's for people that discuss a really potential wealth. They are investing on that. They think that it's the future. We got also Bansky that was just making a prank with the NFT and buried and just leaving the digital copy. So we see it in the last month, a mixture of what it's happening. Also, it's a hype. We've seen that a lot of NFT. It has no reason at all that has been saying, well, a lot of money. And we don't know if in the future, as had happened 5 years ago with CryptoKitties, will fall the prices and people will not be ready for that and will not ready to pay for that demand. As you've seen it in the last, from the 1st of January of this year, I would say that until the first week of February, NFT was something that from the geek part, people that was playing about it. We got the Tether, we got the chess, Sotheos.com, we got also Mana for decentralized, but we don't know what happened because it's not related to the Bitcoin exposition of value. It has started increasing the interesting part, and one of these would happen with the NBA Top Shots. NBA Top Shot is a platform, blockchain platform, when you can buy a card of with say just a play of your favorite player, that you know the score of the game and what's happened. And it was several categories. People will start buying that, and with LeBron James not as much. People just pay more than 200,000 for that. So it's start like an NFT fever. People start thinking that it was great, but they don't know what kind of privilege or what kind of rights you have when you bought these NFTs. That's something we're going to explain right now. But what I will say to that, I will not talk about another ICO fever that we already know that mostly 95% of the projects that were 5 years ago, it happened that has nothing to do with it. Here, there are NFT that has potential value. Some of them are dynamics, and Olivia will help me about that because Chainlink is working really, really hard with the oracles. So I'd say that NFT is something that has a purpose, has a meaning, and the most interesting part, people are investing not just because they think it will be a future gain, also because they want to have these collectibles. Most of them are collectibles right now and also related with electronic sport. And people want to have, because it's unique. We talk about something unique, and as we know, our grandparents buy stamps or buy shirts or buy something that could be unique, because when you have something unique, you feel bad because it's something that no one can have, just you. For an introduction and to complement what we've been talking about it, an NFT also has the certificate of originality of the asset, just physical or digital, could be together, but sometimes you just want a digital copy. That's happened last week with Binance. And the Hermitage from St. Petersburg just start selling 5 digital copies of the most important painting that they have in the gallery, the Kandinsky, and so on. So they just sell it up because, not because they need funding, because they need people wants to have a proper copy of this painting, and has that this digital copy will just be created 2 NFTs. One will be a record and will be taken into St. Petersburg, and the other one will be sent to the owner to that. So museums have understood that the original painting will stay in the museum, but they could say the digital version of that. We have Steve Aoki, mostly common DJ, that just is investing in NFT because he thinks that not just a painting, but also music in a digital form, it would be the only form that could be stored and could not be destroyed. Also, NFT are 100% traceable. With blockchain technology, we know how they are going and who is the owner, who was the owner in the past. Also, we know that NFT can be supported with several kind of wallets. MetaMask, for example, has a property, and you can have your own cryptocurrencies, but also the other ones. One of the
sorry to interrupt you there. I love that overview, and thank you so much. Also, the chart you were showing before was super interesting, and yeah, just want to highlight especially the use cases of the NFT world is so versatile, much more than many people realize. And one of my favorite ones, for example, is that you, for example, also can reward musicians much better probably for the work that they're doing, whereas now they might not get as much revenue through platforms like Spotify, but through NFTs, you might actually be able to increase the royalties that they can get. Just a thought that I just wanted to throw in there, and looking forward for what other things you are mentioning around this.
You're 100% right, Lydia. Musicians, their expectation 100% are high because they think that with these NFTs, they will fire most of their team. That they know that you got your manager, you got your producer, you got the people that commercialize your music, the ones that has your royalties, the companies that has to buy. Well, during this pandemic, we're seeing that most artists are people that we already know. We got Simon Garfunkel. I think Lady Gaga also sold his portfolio of music and all the kind of that because they need liquidity, and sometimes they have to sell their own songs. Taylor Swift did in the past and could not sing this song. With NFTs, they will have an increasing because they control 100% their own music, and they will receive the 100% of the income with these views. Spotify has been studying that and bought two companies regarding blockchain because they think that it will have a way to track at least the number of people that listen music. On the other hand, with NFTs, it's 100% sure. As you said, it's 100% unique, it's trustable, and what will change not only on the music factory industry, also with movies, because you can ask, say, the mostly stars want to have a new Marvel movie, they could ask for like a crowdfunding via blockchain. Once they got the 100% money, they could decide which director will do this movie and not be pressured by Disney, I would say. It's more, it's like a democracy. Just return the power to the people that create that. That it's good for creators and people that create original content. Also, one of the cons that we got of NFT is that right now, we know that technology goes farther beyond the law and the other mechanism. So anyone could take a picture, I don't know, about, say, Olivia went to a holiday with some friends and she took a beautiful post of the sunrise, in Bali, and Olivia shared it by WhatsApp, I would say, with their colleagues. One of these colleagues will write home and say, oh, beautiful picture that Olivia took, but I will convert this picture into an NFT. This NFT, we don't know why, it goes to Rarible or to OpenSea, and people pay to a friend of Olivia, I would say, $100,000 in DAI. But he is not the creator of this photo. We cannot check. But Olivia, it has recorded and has the certificate that she is the creator of this picture, has stopped that. So we've seen it right now that people are selling NFT, has not the rights or has not the permission of the creator to do so. But we've seen it more platforms that start using a way that you have to provide a certificate and you are the owner, or you bought the creator of that picture or that sculpture or whatever, that you can upload this picture or this asset in order to create an NFT. That's the main point. That's when technology goes too fast, everything happens and it's no control over it. Also, I left at the end the main definition that mostly everyone is using right now for an NFT is like it's a type of characteristic token or blockchain that represents a single asset. This can be fully assets or tokenized version of the real world assets. Since the NFT are not interchangeable with each other, they can function as a proof of authenticity ownership within the digital realm. That's the main definition that if anybody knows which is the best way to define an NFT, I would say that it's more accepted than the ecosystem. We've been talking about NBA Top Shot. You've seen 3 examples. That's edition size. You say that edition size more than 10,000 size of the same NFT. We'll say it's unique, yeah, but this NFT is unique, but it's a series of NFTs. It's the same NFT, but we got the NFT common tag. I think that this player, I could not identify the player, but I got the copy 1 and you got the number 2. It's like a series. As you bought, I don't know, you buy a new Air Max special edition, you will find a card inside the box, say you got the number 1,532 out of 5,000. That's more or less the same. But we also got the legendary tier that's on the right one. That's between 25 to 49, 499. So there are some legendary, and maybe there are 25 of them, that it's something really saying that people maybe in the future will pay a higher value because just you got that. We've seen it that most of crypto millionaires that decided that this NFT was a good way to invest the income they receive from DeFi or the portfolio they got in crypto. They switch it one part to NFTs world and the other part they leverage in the crypto world. So we've seen that in several versions. Another said, no, for me, it's just a hype. I'm just buying NFT because if I bought 100, maybe one of them would be fantastic, and I will recover the other 99% of the investment. Characteristics. These are the main characteristics. There are 5. We just pointed out that it's very unique, that you can certify that you are the sole owner of this NFT and you have it and you got it on your hot wallet and you got it in your cold wallet. They are not interoperable. We could say, okay, you buy, I will make it easier. You buy an NFT, I don't know, for Zelda, Nintendo, a video game, and you got it with Zelda. You cannot switch this sword into Fortnite world. It's not interoperable. Maybe in the future it's possible, but at the end you can only use it under this video game. As in case of CryptoKitties, you cannot change it to the cryptocurrency world. That's several worlds and it's still like it. It's indivisible. We've seen that you cannot divide into smaller pieces. People want to do that, but it's not possible. People think that you can tokenize a whole building and then you can spare this building and sell just 0.34761% of this building and make a liquidity. I've heard that. I would not say 1,000 times, but more than 100 times I heard from the business area. They say that it will be missing. No, what people are doing, you are not tokenizing a building. You are just providing this building to an SPV, and just with these shares, I would say 100,000 shares, you tokenize these 100,000 shares that represent 100,000 parts of that building. That's the way that we are doing in the legal world, because it's not possible with an NFT, because one of its characteristics is that it's 100% invisible. We say that indestructible. Steve Aoki knows that. Also, Ariana Grande start doing the concert on Fortnite because they will be forever and people will record it, that nobody would say that has not happened. And all the people has interacted in this concert. It's not just recorded, but it's 100% traceable on blockchain. And the most important part, we're talking about DLT technology and blockchain technology is verifiable, that everyone can verify that has happened, that you can certify it, and it's not complex at all. So it's really important that NFT brings us a new alternative, something that could be sure that you got it and you got the property of something that is you. You have any question, Olivia?
Thank you so much. That's a great overview. I wasn't aware of all of these, especially the non-interoperability is something that I wasn't aware of, because my understanding was that it is indeed possible. I'm curious if this will at some point be solved through various projects. Yeah, no, I think that's a great overview. Thank you so much. For now, I don't have any more questions. Okay. I'm looking forward to more content.
No, because if you got it, do it. I said that anyone that has any doubts, please send your questions. I will try to clarify at the end. People say, well, but we're talking about fungible and not fungible. Last week, I just heard for the first time that people don't, well, at least traditional investors, when I talk about traditional investors, I try that people that has a lot of money, banks, or people that collect big pieces of art. They don't like to talk about NFT because NFT is really difficult to pronounce. They talk about digital art. I would say it's more a posh way or more a friendly way to say it. But why we talk about non-fungible, it's because I got this info And the difference is that we got the fungible and intangible, that's carbon credits or Bitcoins, and you cannot touch it, and you got it, and you got the tangible way, you got gold, you can have gold, and you can have a barrel of gold at home, or you can have a can of oil. On the other hand, when we talk about non-fungible, we got non-fungible intangible in case of CryptoKitties, CryptoPunks, or all rights of copyright. You cannot say you can put a domain, I would say www.chainlink.com that could be tokenized and it's intangible. You got it, but you cannot touch it. And tangible, and art, house, whatever. Just to certify that, because when we talk from the legal perspective, it's important to differentiate which one of that is.
Yes, that's a good call out. And it takes some time to wrap your head around it, as you were saying, to understand this concept of fungibility.
Yeah. People talk about fungible, non-fungible, fungible, because I'd say I never use that word in Spanish neither, or in Catalan neither, because it's not common. It just used that when I was studying law or sometimes some contract. And now people about, no, it's not fungible, it's fungible. So, well, people became really interesting, or they already know the 3 Newton's law of physics, but that's not common. I would say that we're talking just a wheel of techie. There are 2 kinds of ERC tokens from the Ethereum network. We also got Solana, we got also Binance Chain. But the difference between one of them, the most used, the ERC 721, is that you can just one token, a single contract, we can just create just one NFT. It's really expensive and allows one operation. On the other hand, we got ERC 1155. That's the new one. It's what the people decide that you can create multiple tokens as in project. I will explain that. With ERC 721, we talk about Bitcoin, just can create a token of just one skin, a leopard skin. With ERC 1155, you can create a token with 100 different skins of that, because you put it all together. That's the matter. It's multiple operation, one transaction, and also it's cheaper, because we already know that Ethereum has a problem with the gas. And ERC 721, it's expensive than ERC 1155. Just to know that, it's more efficient than ERC 1155, but people are still using the 721, as it happened with the traditional smart contract, that everyone is using the ERC 20. Yeah, let me know, Olivia.
Yes, I was just thinking that maybe the NBA example that you were showing before might be related to that, but you already clarified that most applications nowadays will use this first one.
Yeah, but you just pointed out something. It's important that you mentioned that the NFT, because people thought, okay, I'm gonna buy the NFT of Michael Jordan latest shot in the seed game of the Chicago Bulls in 1996, because that was the most iconic one ever. I will have the rights of that, and every single time that will upload this image on TV, I just receive royalties to that. That's not true. Carpella just sent you that they got like a license, but this NFT with a license, and you got the property of that. But the NBA can recover and can post once again this action movie, or what I would say this moment, and has not paid you any royalties, because you are not the owner of this part of the video. It has a license of a card. It has already obtained the license from the NBA, and that's decided that for that purpose, then you can use it. That's because we have to clarify, because people say, okay, I'm just gonna buy the NFT of the latest song of The Weeknd, and then I became the owner of this song, and every single time they put this song on every single radio telly of the world, they will receive royalties. That's not true. It has to be created by the own as Weeknd, and we'll say that yes, this NFT is included, or it's attached 100% of the royalties of this song. Just to clarify that. We got to the latest news, and because it has been a crazy week, the last OpenSea, the largest marketplace of NFT, just increased 10 times more than last July. $3 billion has increased in volumes. Also, it's an impressive interest in NFT. I would say that Messi left my lovely Barca to PSG, and he will receive the part of his salary in PSG tokens. We got also that several football players just create their own tokens. We got Tom Brady in the US, the NFL also create tokens by himself. But we are just created that celebrities also are investing to that. And I would say, well, that's becoming mainstream and nobody understands why. Also, we got there are CryptoPunks is still becoming the leader of the OpenSea platform. And for we don't know which reason, 2 weeks ago, Visa provided, payment provider, everyone got a Visa or a MasterCard in our pocket, just decided that they will want to have a seat on the table in the NFT market and to understand what's going on, and just bought an NFT for roughly $105,000. So we got traditional pay, has nothing to do with it. They decided that it's a new way of investment, so it cannot be just hype. It's something that people think that will have a future, and we have to keep working on that. And we not with Binance or Coinbase or whatever, or OpenSea, also protocols and Oracle service provider, we have to say much about it. To conclude that, say in the last 30 days, CryptoPunk has transaction volumes around $800 million. So it's incredible how many people are investing in this kind of projects. Legal aspects. Now we are moving to my side. As a lawyer, has to say a few things about it. And just to people, that's clarify that to have the digital token, you don't have the economic exploitation of the rights. If it's not included, you don't have. Just got a digital representation of that copy. If we buy a Leonardo da Vinci, I've been talking about the Hermitage digital copy that sold last week. If you buy that copy, you are owner of this digital copy with this certain characteristic, and it's true, it's unique. But the original Leonardo da Vinci picture, the physical one, it still belongs to the Hermitage Museum, and you don't have any right to that. So clarify that. If you want to buy the whole thing, has to be already included in the smart contract, has to certify that if you buy this digital copy, also gives to you the property of the physical copy. That's the thing that people have to start understanding. And if you want to buy an NFT, maybe you should have to look on the description and what they give to you. Maybe this something that is happening, you bought an NFT, and then when you want to sell the NFT, 8% of that sell, it has to be sent to the creator. And that's true. Most of them say, okay, I sold 100 copies of NFT, but every single resale of this NFT, 40% of the income has to come back to the creator. And it's true because it's incorporated in the original smart contract. Also, we know that Mr. Elon Musk has been pushing so hard with Dogecoin, also has decided to accept Bitcoins to buy Tesla's cars, and 2 months later has said it was not a good idea, but also create a song that's called I Got an NFT and I'm an NFT, and people decide to buy it because they think, wow, it's amazing. Okay, you got this digital copy of that song, but in this case, you could use that song for any kind of advertisement purpose, and no matter what, because in this NFT, they are not included the right to that song. Also, the price of the NFT, sometimes I would say if you buy, a singer or an artist or whatever, maybe he is related to any kind of legal circumstances, driving under drugs or drinking. So this NFT maybe will be decrease of the value because it's related to the fund. So it's not sure that if you buy an NFT in a nearly future will have a bigger value. So first thing is do your own research. With Matt, we say many times, do your own research and know where you're investing to. So NFT started in 2012 with the Bitcoin chain. It was called the Bitcoin colored coins. And the first one was a pepper frog. We know that man, it's always in our phones. And to conclude with the legal part, because I just create 2 more slides. I think it's not necessary to go through them. It's like the NFT will be regulated for first time under the MiCA regulation. MiCA regulation is the future regulation under the European Union, but they consider that it's a single crypto asset that cannot be interchangeable, so you have to pay with cryptos or other kind of service under the same network or blockchain. So I think we'll have to start waiting for the new version of this draft of the future regulation, because I think that NFT are similar in some points to cryptos, but to the other point has their own criteria. We have to clarify different categories under the definition of what's a crypto asset. That's other legal aspects. I think we jump it over. And we're going to the metaverse. A picture of Decentraland with people that start buying pieces and creating museum, and people are showing off the lovely furniture they're buying that, or people just having races with the beautiful F1 cars in Monte Carlo, and every single time that you run in Monte Carlo you have to pay for the tunnel. Well, we said it was like Second Life, but with this token, also the luxury brand that start say that if you buy a sweater, you will have the same sweater and the digital version that you can wear with your avatar. So it's quite shocking, because 20 years ago, I played, I would say, several hours with the Sims. It was fine, okay. I said, well, now I will be forced to create a Sim, and no matter if it looks like me or not. And with this Sim, I have to go to the business meetings. Then if I want to buy something in it, I will have to I will start playing like Sims 20 years later that I've been playing on my computer. So it's quite sarcastic and quite shocking. Metaverse, we said shared virtual worlds that were lands, buildings, avatars, even names that can be using cryptos. And these environments, we are got connected. It's virtual reality. So virtual reality, big data, blockchain, DLT technologies converge in a single space. So we make it in a decentralized that nobody can shut it down. Second Life is created by a company that when they want, they can shut it down the brand, and we cannot enter. That's not true. It's 100% decentralized. The word metaverse came from the prefix meta. It's been beyond that. And STEM, it's called the verse, it's called a back formation of the universe. That's why it's a strange one. We talk about the Second Life that was created 17 years old digital world. It's verifiable, immutable, and the ownership of digital worlds and the currency, it's always created by blockchain and DLT technology.
So to summarize, the metaverse is technically a virtual reality on the blockchain. Is that correct to say? So Ready Player One, but on the blockchain.
Yeah, I would say that, well, when you've been playing to virtual reality, you never know. And I would say that's one of the internet jump off. It was a cartoon picture was published in the New Yorker newspaper. Was a dog that was saying on internet. Nobody knows that I'm a dog. That's true. When you were playing on Second Life, you don't know who was on the other side. I would say that it could be the richest man of the earth, and nobody would certify, because there's no one to say you can be the best liar of the world and you can be 100% good. This time it's 100% decentralized, but things with identity protocols, you can certify who is on the other hand, or with who are you doing business to. So NFTs Metaverse, I would say that Metaverse is the world where all this new technology that has been created the last year, artificial intelligence, big data, virtual reality, and now DLT blockchain, they put it the best of them all together and create this virtual world, and when you can interact with one to another, but to transfer properties of the transfer goods, things of privilege of rights, we will need this blockchain DLT technology beyond that.
Totally. I think that interesting part is that it actually has a reference to the real life. It is
Yeah.
something that people talk about. I remember when Second Life came out, it was scary because people thought about it as a parallel life where only people would go if they want to flee their real life. But with the metaverse, it sounds like we have a version of this that is actually much more ourselves. So it can, in a way, um, be that second life, but it is not. It must not necessarily be a way for you to flee or so, but it is actually part of your life. So I like that analogy, and it's interesting how this has evolved over the past 2 decades.
100% right, Olivia. It's true. Maybe some people will use this metaverse to be the person that they cannot be in their own life because maybe they are afraid of meeting new people. Maybe doing that in the metaverse would be easier for them. From others, that will be an extension of their own life, and maybe they don't want to go outside to do, some purchases, and they prefer to do it virtually. And there are all people that love working from home and hates to go to the office because it takes almost an hour to go and 1 hour to come back home. And prefer that, and they go to the business meetings and be with their avatar and say, hi, I'm here, everything's fine, and just interacting with the avatar and with a beautiful red sweater because he loves red sweater with, I would say, with the logo of Ralph Lauren on the shirt. I would say it's people just find out which is the best way. I'm not saying that everyone has to jump into the metaverse and just ending your social traditional life. That we're gonna start looking at things that are coming up, and it will be most common than not being just a second life. Okay, just to continue with that, coming back to the NFT part, that is the 6 categories that most people know, and the most one that are trading right now. It's related to the art. We've been talking about the paintings and the tokenization of art, collectibles. We've been talking about Fortnite, CryptoKitties, F1 Delta, so on. Gaming, electronic sports, also because electronic sports players decide to receive their own salaries in cryptos because they prefer to receive a part in cryptos because they could have biggest gains on that, and it's risky. Most of these players are ages between 16 and I would say 25, 26. So there are people that considers cryptocurrency part of their own generation, being afraid of losing part of that virtual asset. That could be internet domains, Twitter accounts, and jointly with cryptocurrencies. Real world asset, we talk about real estate hype that wants to join to the blockchain to create a liquidity pool, and the identity. We're gonna start thinking about it, and Olivia just said that we'll be using our avatar for several hours. We'll need to start having a digital identity. This digital identity will have certified that we are who we are in the real world, and to do whatever we have to do in this metaverse and other protocols to buy whatever we need to create whatever we want, to certify that we are who, and try to present that in internet you got a lot of information, but we don't know if it's true or if it's fake. But in blockchain, we can start certifying what's true and what's not true. And with identity, it's 100% necessary. Ecosystems.
Awesome. So one of my favorite use cases there is also the virtual assets, because when, for example, you can actually buy a copy of a tweet as an NFT. I think that is pretty cool. And in the beginning, or a couple of months ago, one tweet from Jack Dorsey, I think, went for $2 million. That was quite a memorable moment.
I just, as an analogy, okay, we're not on the tweet or TikTok world, but think about it. 100 years ago, people bought letters from Copernicus, Galileo Galilei, or Julius Caesar, something that it's a tweet that was something unique, or from something that was related to Napoleon. People wants to have that. Now, we are in the new century. People are buying JC tweets, buying Jastorcy tweets, Taylor Swift TikToks, whatever, because that's what will have our future. And what people think that in the near future that will have a lot of money. A friend of mine, that when he was a kid, he hates to play video games, and the family just bought him a Super Nintendo. It's a video game console which was created around 1995. He didn't play it all, and he just did it there. Now, Super Nintendo without the box not being open has been sold, as they have seen it, around $600,000, because what people want is to come back to their own, to their child time, to their own kindergarten. So if you're buying right now TikToks, maybe in 20 years, this TikTok has to be like an art of what happened at that time, why we change it. So it's an evolution of that. Something that could be silly right now, maybe in 20 years, will be as happened with Bitcoin. People in 2010 said that, well, that's just something that people are buying and selling. But right now, something that costs 10 cents it costs almost $47,000.
I haven't thought about this. This is a great thought. On the one hand, this enables, of course, the creator economy, but on the other hand, you get this nostalgia effect where you can actually get ownership of these assets, where maybe 10, 20 years ago, this was a Pokemon card, and in the collection of these cards or whatever else you were collecting at the time, footballer players, and now this can actually be traced through NFT. So that's super interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome. On the other hand, we also have some critics, and we got Mr. Vitalik Buterin. We already know that's one of the creator of the Ethereum Foundation, that said that NFTs can be a social good, not just a casino, but for wealthy celebrities. That's what he's aware of. He's a little bit scared that we are using NFT as another ICO boom, that people are start buying whatever NFT, whatever is a shitcoin, and then you have these illiquidity problems, and you cannot sell it for just a penny. So think about it. Do your own research. We just repeat it until the end. So because not everything is fair, not everything has their own value. Sometimes there are high expectations of that. To conclude that, we said that some platforms are trying to restrict in certain areas the creation of NFTs. So the private use of NFT, if you don't have the IP rights. We've seen that now in the US, they are studying that. In Europe, there are several countries that are working with that, because the main expectation and the main hype, it's the once you can buy an NFT that will give it to you the 100% of IP rights of this picture, and you don't have to give it anything to the creator, because in some laws you have to pay part of that to the creator of the art. To create an NFT, just to make a simple line, I'd say there are wonderful YouTube tutorials about it, but you just you got your content on your computer, and say file, a music, song, or whatever, a letter you write to someone. You choose your platform. You got Rarible, OpenSea, so we say OpenSea, and then we got our crypto wallet that supports this ERC 721 or 1155, we say MetaMask, and we bought it and we promote it on social. It's everything is done. But we have to remember that OpenSea, Rarible platform are centralized platform. So they are out of blockchain, because you cannot upload all these NFT. You just make a hash of this token, and you can certify that you are the owner of these original copies due to the hash, due to the crypto graphic that is underneath. Just to create that, a friend of mine always said that on blockchain, it's not a cloud. He repeats once again, blockchain is not a cloud. You cannot put anything on blockchain, just a hash. A hash is a line. You cannot upload 200,000 gigabytes of information to blockchain. That's not true, and it's not impossible. Problematics about you put it out with the off-chain storage. Mostly we need some resources. Oracles will be needed because under the on-chain world, NFT would be really, really reduced. It would be nearly impossible to create an alternative. Now I think that we're gonna talk also with the NFTs dynamics. The right to be forgotten, that the IP rights in Europe, it's really, really important. And you can ask Google to erase whatever information are on the web that can hurt you with blockchain. That's not possible. We know that with GDPR, with the data protection regulation in Europe, it's not has not been approved to use blockchain because you cannot erase it when you want it. And also another point that there are sometimes we got regulators, in case of the state, we got the SEC, the Security Exchange Commission, they're still looking in a narrow way that NFT could be considered as a security token. So if it's a security token under the finance law, it's considered like a security. So if it's a security, it has to be transferred by as financial service provider, has to be a MiFID protocol, and all the finance procedures needed to buy a finance product. So we are in a new area, we are not in a new world, but there are some questions that has not been answered, and we will see how that has been solved. Pros and cons, we pointed out, introduce people to cryptocurrency because it's much easier to buy a crypto kitty that's lovely, it's a picture of a cat, and I think that's nice, and not just buying Bitcoins, and we got 0.000264, that now you can buy a big, I would say a hamburger in Salvador if you want to, but not much. Transfer the attitude to the opposite, and the possibility of illiquidity in the market is really, really unstable, and we have to point it out and to make aware that that could happen. To conclude my presentation and to jump off the question that you got it, I would say that NFT right now it's in the center of the whole world. I've read it today, 5 news in a traditional newspaper, and you know why? And at the end, say non-fungible tokens. And they say there are tokens that are not fungible. I say, well, yeah, but explain me more. No, because they were talking about FC Barcelona player, Gerard Piqué, which just jumped out with his NFT collection with his pictures, and everyone wants to buy it. And it was not explained what's an NFT. And people think, as Olivia said, it's like a card, a collectible card. And it's more about it. And we have to start showing people what's an NFT, how it's created an NFT, but the most important one is what kind of right you have when you buy an NFT. Because if I'm buying a card that has no value out of a certain platform, maybe I'm not going to buy this NFT because I don't want it would be limited to a platform that I could not control, that it's centralized. Yeah, we prefer to buy an NFT of a song of the I would say, an impressive artist of the 1970s, and maybe in 2 or 3 years, if I got these royalties, maybe I could have some income. I would say that cryptocurrencies, tokens, decentralization, transactions, blockchain, whatever, they are moving around NFT, and NFT could be considered the word of the year. That the Oxford Dictionary would say at the end of the year, NFT could be incorporated as has happened a long time ago with Bitcoin. Thank you very much for your time. Here you got my email address. Also, you can contact me on LinkedIn. Every single morning, I try to post something related to crypto or NFTs that could be interesting to the audience. And thank you very much for your time, Olivia. For me, it has been a pleasure. And now we can jump out to the questions that the audience had or whatever that you want to ask me to.
Thank you so much for the content, the presentation. It was very enlightening, for lack of a better word. Let's go through the questions. One of them has already been answered. So what are your favorite use cases of NFTs? What are you most excited about? I think we had covered this already in part.
For me, electronic sports is the future. I'd say the new generation could not stand watching football for 90 minutes. it's too much time. You need to have something more interactive. So electronic sports, for example, the LoL, the League of Legends, you've seen it just a gameplay, but at the same time, you are chatting with your friends, you're playing with your phone, you're making a TikTok. It's very interactive. So you can bet on who will win this game. People then will try to replicate, to try to copy the movement of this professional electronic player when he's playing with their LoL. So at the end, it's long time ago, my father told me, well, I spent long hours playing football. I see Johan Cruyff playing for FC Barcelona. It's just trying to imitate or try to do the same movements. Right now, when we are watching some Counter-Strike performance or FIFA football playing by the best video games player, then we got our video game console and we're trying to do the same. So I think electronic sport will have many opportunities and people love to watch it. And it's impressive because people prefer to spend time playing with the video than going outside and practicing any kind of sport. Things are changing and we have to understand.
Yeah, it's a huge industry, esports. Very fascinating to watch it, very fun. The next questions are about the high prices of NFTs. Is this, in your opinion, a justifiable price, or do you think that this is actually totally ridiculous? What do you think about this?
Sometimes things are totally madness and it's ridiculous. I've seen the white paper with just a dot on it, has nothing to do, that has been sold around $300,000. Nobody understands that. If you're buying something that it's created by someone, a digital artist, or you're creating something, I'm not talking about abstract art. I love abstract art, but sometimes it's something that it's done by yourself and has nothing meaningless on that. So I thought we are a little bit on hype due to cryptos are in a higher value. People want to invest in other kind of things. An NFT, you buy an NFT, and maybe in 2 or 3 weeks you can sell it by the double of that. Well, we know that happened before and will happen to the whole history that happened in Holland with the tulips. We already know that people at the end buy tulips because they love it, and the people decide that the bulbs buy 4 bulbs of tulips it's the same value of a house, and people at the end got bulbs of tulips but has no houses, and then is when the crisis arrived. So the same happened through the history, and now we are in the crypto world. I would say it's a higher expectation. There are good NFTs that could have a value, and there are other NFTs that was created just in a joking way, has we could say that has not understanding at all the price of that NFT.
Yeah, that again comes in, do your own research so that you don't get into a bubble.
That's true.
And the next question, I've read about the use of NFTs on supply chain for transparency and traceability. Could you explain how that works?
Yeah, well, for sure. We say that creating an NFT, for example, I would say to if we want to certify the certain dish that was created with an over, has no gluten at all, has no peanuts. For example, people are allergic to peanuts, almonds, or whatever. We can certify with an NFT that this dish that has been created, I would say, in London, and arrived to Barcelona, and during all the process has not been connected or close to any kind of would say nuts or peanuts or whatever. So you can have this dish and has 100% certified, has not been altered. So you can eat this dish without being worried that maybe it will be nuts inside, it has seeds on that, and maybe can cause you a health problem. That's one thing. And the other one, that when you create an NFT, for example, for a whole career, you're selling goods from, let's say, New Zealand to Canada, and maybe it has to stop to, I would say, Hawaii, then moving to Japan, and then stopping in Hawaii, and until it goes home. You have to certify that has not been altered and nobody has touched it. You can certify with an oracle, for example, but it's an NFT because you certify that that was closed that day with certain characteristics, you tokenize it, and if you're right, it has not been touched, you certify that it's pretty clear.
Thank you. Yeah, the next question was also around exploitation rights, and if you can expect any legal support from the governments. I'm not quite sure how that exactly applies.
Well, I think it depends of each jurisdiction. We got in the Southern Europe, we came from the French civil code. Here in Germany, you come from a different code, and the English countries, they come from the common law. So there are different ways of respecting that. But it's not exploitation right there. Governments are exporting. It's like once you got an NFT, you receive royalties for one way or another. I would say royalties because it's the most common way to receive that. You will have to declare it for sure. We'll find a way on if you're using a centralized platform like OpenSea. I would think that maybe in 2-3 years, as it had happened with the 5 EML directive and money laundering directive in Europe, that exchanges have been declared that has to provide all the information that the people that are inside and to proceed with the KYC necessary for that. I don't know how the governments will try to fix it or will try to push it, because the only thing that I'm sure that governments, once it is a new way of income that you cannot control, they find a way to track it and to make the people pay for that.
Thank you. The last question was if your slides will be available.
No, I would love to, and I would love to share this slide. But I'm working with several colleges, and they said that I cannot share this slide. That you got this video tube, and you can see it as many times that you want it. And for me, it's probably just created by myself. The content is 100% original. Do not create an NFT. If not, I will come back to you. No, I'm joking. If anybody needs whatever, just let me know. Just send me an email or write me on LinkedIn. I will be happy to help you or to provide you any articles with the information that you think that has been interesting for your site. And I will be happy to help you.
Perfect. That's great that you're so approachable. Awesome. Then if there are no other questions.
No questions, Olivia? You don't have any questions?
Well, I have a lot of questions. Actually, well, one question I have is a little bit the relationship between the NFT that I'm buying and the cryptocurrency underlying it. So say I'm buying an NFT on Decentraland and the mana token appreciates. How is the price of this token affecting the value of my NFT? Is this somehow related?
Well, I would say to buy this NFT, you have this HAMA, for example. Once you buy this NFT, it's an NFT that has no value. It's the NFT. Maybe you have to sell it or will have higher value on the marketplace of Decentraland. Like you can sell it outside, you can sell it peer-to-peer to anyone because you got it in your cold wallet, and then you sell it to wherever you want to. Then it has no origin. On the other hand, I would say you buy a unique, but unique in a way that it has just one red sofa in the center, and you just bought this red sofa. Everyone wants to have a red sofa, and you put it that in auction. It's the only one red sofa created in the center, and the second version would say that for sure, if the center is becoming more and more popular and people want to that, you got something exclusive and people will buy it. On the other hand, we can talk about these NFT dynamics. NFT dynamics that Chainlink is one of the best providers. I would say that it's good to it. And the example is, for example, video games. We just bought a racing car. It's a new Beetle, blue new Beetle, and we start racing in the video game. And the new Beetle it's winning races. Okay, you're winning races. Your NFT it's uploading, it's reaching potential. And when you can show that this NFT has different characteristics, because at the first step, it only can speed from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 7 seconds. And then you have fixed it and you make some evolution in the video, and now you reach it in 2.3 seconds. Then this NFT will have a high value on the market, because if anyone wants to buy your new video, blue, that has won 120 races and lost just 25, someone would say, how many did you pay for that? You would say, oh, $5. Oh, I could pay you 700 for that. You say, oh, well, because they buy this NFT with this characteristic because it has already evolved. It's more or less like you were talking about Pokemon. Well, let's say you have found out a Pikachu in the middle of the wild and just has trained this Pikachu in the higher and bigger fighter, and it's an NFT and it's unique. If you want to sell this Pikachu that has won 7 tournaments and it's the higher potential and has something unique, and it's not a yellow Pikachu, it's a yellow Pikachu with a red tail, maybe they could pay you a lot of money. It's why the NFTs is still evolving. We're now talking about these dynamics, and for sure we'll find new evolution of that, new infrastructure. The oracles is one of the main parts. We know that oracles are 100% necessary for smart contracts, but in the NFT area and also in the metaverse, they have to play an important role.
Yeah, and that application is fascinating, to use the Oracle, that infrastructure that Chainlink provides, in order to create dynamic NFTs that can change the value when a condition changes, for example, is one of many aspects how, for example, Chainlink enables it, but it also enables a lot of new use cases in the metaverse. Imagine you combine the metaverse with dynamic NFTs, it creates a whole new world. And I think apart from that, where Chainlink also helps to enable the NFT ecosystem, is also through creating random functions and random outputs, which enable, for example, version controlled NFTs like Polychain monsters, where we also had a meetup with a few weeks ago with our another community advocate, and they really nicely explained how they're using this Chainlink random function in order to determine the rarity of their little monsters, which are unique NFTs in itself, an interesting project to check out. So there it's really fascinating how Chainlink enables a lot of NFTs. So you might not necessarily see it, but you will use it if you own an NFT at some point. Chainlink might have been involved in the creation of it.
That's for sure. And we are not talking about the price. We talk about the solution to provide oracles. And without oracles, we'll not be talking about blockchain technology, because the crypto economy world, okay, it's fine. It's a way of investment. People just buy because they think they could be rich in an overnight. The most important part is that the technology that is beyond to that, that's it's creating great solution. It's a need that creates something. We are just jumping to the internet of information, to the internet of verification and certainty. So that's something that people need to have. There has to be certainty, something that is true. And no matter the ownership, oracles help us to connect the on-chain world, and especially because the technology is great. And we got the off-chain world that we are all living that. And they collect this information to make that this solution, this technological solution as DLT and blockchain technology, enables us to create something new, something bigger, and I would say something better.
That's a great way to conclude this conversation. I enjoyed it very much and learned a lot. So I hope our community members found the same and have their questions answered. So thank you very much, Joaquim. And
Olivia.
Muchas gracias. Hasta la próxima vez. Bis nächste Mal. Vielen Dank.